Okay, your first part, I'm going to teach you how to do reflections. The first thing you need to do is label your graph. This is your X and this is your Y. Remember that this is your Y-axis and this is your X-axis. That's important because you need to be able to write down your ordered pairs. Okay, so for reflections, there's always going to be two rules. For dilations, you had to find your scale factor, and that was your rule. For translations, you kind of had to just count how many units you went up, down, left, or right to add or subtract whatever number of units they moved. But for reflection is really just two rules, and it depends what is reflecting over. And these are your two rules. So the first one is if you reflect over the x-axis. The second rule is when you reflect over the y-axis. So this represents your original, and this means that it's going to change to the new. So when you reflect over the x-axis, the x value will stay the same, but the value of y is going to be the opposite. Okay, same thing for the reflection over the y. The y value will stay the same, but the x would be the opposite. And then I'm going to show you how that works. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is going to be your original triangle that I have right here. So I'm going to write O for original. I'm going to go ahead and label it right here. The pre-image is my old. And I already wrote down the ordered pairs, so go ahead and write them down. If you need to pause the video to do that, go ahead and do it. Okay, so when you reflect over the x-axis, which is this axis right here, is just going to flip from this side over to that side, over the x. That's all that's happening. And so what you'll see is, so for example, like this unit right here, the B, is only one distance away from 6, so then my new B will be right here. Okay, and then I'm going to draw it in a second. And then same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to create my new A. For C, it's just 1 away, so there'll be 1 away from the axis. But if you know the rule, it'll be a little bit easier. So again, my X value will stay the same. So for this one, I'm just going to write -6, but the y is going to be the opposite, which is where we get our rule. So the x value stays the same and the y is the opposite. So what's the opposite of a +6 is a -6. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write down or draw that order pair. So I have -6, -6, and that is going to be my A prime. Okay, same thing here. The x stays the same, and the y is going to be the opposite. So this is going to stay -6, I'm sorry, and what's the opposite of a +1 and -1. So my B prime is going to be -6, -1, which is right here. I'm going to label that B prime. Again, your x will stay the same, which is -2, but the y value is going to be the opposite, which is -1. So -2, -1, and that's going to be C prime. I'm going to go ahead and draw my triangle. And if you notice, it's just a reflection of the original one. The A is down here, and then the C matches and the B matches. So that is a reflection over the X value. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the Y. So your Y will stay the same, but the X becomes the opposite. Okay, and again, I'm looking at the original, which is, this is your original. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that so I know. Let's highlight that yellow. So these are my original pairs that I got from the original triangle. Okay, now I'm going to reflect it over the y-axis. So again, I'm going to show you, this is my, highlight it real quick. This is my y-axis right here. So I'm going to make the triangle flip on this side. Okay, so if I follow the rules, the x value, so again, I'm looking from the original. This is the original. negative 6. So the x value is going to be the opposite. So the opposite of a negative is going to be a positive. So I'm going to write positive 6. And then the y value will stay the same. So now it's going to be 6, 6. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to draw that point, and that's going to be my A double prime because it's the second copy of the original. Okay, again, my x value is going to be the opposite. The opposite of a negative 6 is a positive 6, and the y value will stay the same for this one. So negative x, y is my rule for this one. Okay, so I'm going to do 6, 1, plot 6, 1 here. And that's B double prime. So it's a reflection of this to here. And my C, the x will be the opposite. So the opposite of a negative 2 is going to be a positive 2. And the y value will stay the same. So just because your rule has a negative x, it just means it's going to be the opposite of whatever it is. So if it's a negative, the opposite of a negative is a positive. If it's a positive, the opposite of a positive is a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that point, 2, 1, and that's going to be C double prime. And so I'm going to draw my triangle. And if you notice, it's a reflection of the original one. So it went from it flipped from this side to this side, and it has the same distance. So like, for example, here, C is 1, 2 away from the axis. Your new C is also 2 away from the axis. Okay, so those are your rules. Reflecting over the x and reflecting over the y. So down here, I would like for you to write, sorry, you really don't have to rewrite it because it's right here already. Okay, so I'm going to do one example for you. This is example 1 on your practice, and I'm going to go over it with you to help you solve for this. Okay, so here your keyword, it tells you it's going to reflect over the x-axis. So if you look at the notes, if I'm reflecting over the x will stay the same, but the y will be the opposite because I'm reflecting over the x. So if you look at your answer choices, the only rule that matches is going to be this. This means that it went from the original to reflecting over the x. If it would have been asking reflecting over the y, then the y would stay the same, but the x is the opposite. But it didn't do that. So that's not our answer. Okay, all right, so go ahead and complete your practices for reflections, and then you're going to watch video 2 for rotations.